Hello, friends, and welcome to the debut episode, the pilot, potentially the very, very rough draft that no one will ever see, of the new show inside the OperaDelaware studio with me, Carrie Anatano. I am the Vice President of Engagement with OperaDelaware, and we're coming to you from our studio where we host rehearsals, workshops, performances, and also this dope podcast. Listen, y'all, catch the vibe. It's 2022. We're doing big things.
Right.
So my whole gig here at OperaDelaware, the whole reason that I'm here is to bring people closer to opera. That is my whole job description. So whether you're an opera newbie, if you're curious about our upcoming show, or if you live for La Bohème and you die for Die Totestadt, whatever level you are at opera, however you're comfortable, this podcast is for you. Welcome. We're happy you're here. Later this month, OperaDelaware will present Mozart's Così fan tutte, and today I'm joined by one of the stars of the show, OperaDelaware's artist-in-residence / artist ambassador / absolute charm bomb, Eric McKeever, my guy. Eric plays Don Alfonso, the jaded mentor who instigates a shady bet and starts the whole raucous comedy off. So I'm so happy to be joined by you, Eric.
Thank you for having me. A charm bomb. Thank you.
Fact.
I'm putting it on the resume.
Line one.
Line one. Yes.
Writing quotes. Eric, I'm so happy to have you. It's been so fun to get to know you through the process of you being our resident artist, going out in the community, representing opera, representing OperaDelaware, and representing yourself, I think, so beautifully. People have really gotten to know you, and we've gotten amazing feedback from folks who have seen you perform and have heard you speak, and just feel truly closer to opera and more included in the opera experience because of the work you've done.
What's been amazing is finding my way into this business and really understanding that it's not about where you sing, but it's about for whom you sing and the story that you're telling. So it doesn't matter if we're singing for 10 people in a parking lot or we're singing on the stage. I want them to come away being like, opera is amazing and all-encompassing and beautiful, and so my job is just to give them the show wherever they are. Mm-hmm. Yes,
and give them that experience that you believe in. I mean, tell me about what drew you to opera in the first place.
What drew me to opera was seeing the Opera Salome by Richard Strauss and just being blown away. These singers were moving and acting and singing, and these gorgeous costumes and this set. And it was a story that I was familiar with, but never had heard this sort of interpretation of it. It was a very secular look at, Salome. And, and then, she kisses his head at the end and gets killed. I mean, I was like...
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. Oh, sorry if you haven't seen it. But I mean, it was like, I was sitting there like, whoa, because there's no intermission in that particular piece.
Waves coming over you.
Waves. And I didn't know that it was going to do that. And I actually was grateful that I didn't really have any preconceived notions, because I just was 18, I had to go, and I just was like, okay, how do I figure out how to do that? And I'm sure it's easy, right? And then I realized, it's not, but...
Not easy, but worth it.
But worth it, but tons of fun.
If you are an artist...
Yes, because you are.
You are. There is something in you that's special that you want to share with people. Don't let other people's expectations of what opera is supposed to look like or sound like hinder your ability to be a communicative storyteller.
Right.
Opera is alive and it's ever evolving and it's ever changing. It could look completely different 20 years from now.
I think it will.
You decide as the artist. We decide as the artists.
Yes, I think what you're really saying is singers, you are the power that makes this art form run.
The power.
And you may hear a lot of noise, but always trust your inner guide. Trust your inner guide.
Beautiful. I just want to let that sit there in the moment for a minute. Just think about that. Just trust that inner guide.
Trust your inner guide.
Well, let's dive into our upcoming production.
Okay.
What makes... Now, I've spent some time talking to Eric about tackling characters that are different from his persona. Eric is warm and charming, so affectionate and loving, certainly not a jaded, conniving old man who is bitter about love. That is not my friend Eric. So tell me about what makes your version of Don Alfonso different. How are you envisioning him and how are you putting yourself into the character?
That is great. So there's this recitative that Alfonso says where he's basically like, I'm a good actor. He's like, I kind of feel bad for what I'm doing. But then he's like, you know what? these kids are fools. And any man that has faith in a woman is a fool. And I was like, that's it. That's why he's doing this. He's been burned. And that was my connection. I was like, I've had my heart broken. And I've had that feeling of like, you're stupid to fall in love. Not now, but I remember that feeling. And that was my way into Alfonso's motivation. Because if you don't have that understanding of why he's doing this, he's just a jerk. And I was like, he's not a jerk. He's actually like thinking he's trying to teach these boys a lesson.
What should the audience be listening to or looking for in this production? What are some of the highlights, some of the moments that you love? So
some of the highlights, and this has been really, really interesting as we've been discovering, and I say our cozy because our director has some really interesting concepts that were sort of like, I wasn't ready for that.
And this is Sam Mungo.
Sam Mungo, who is really, really playing with the idea of who knows what, when, and who's real, when are we real and when are we artificial? So it's been really interesting playing with like, who's actually in control in these scenes? We know from the story, like Alfonso is the mastermind. But one of the things that's been really interesting is discovering the relationship that Alfonso has with Dorabella and Fiordiligi. In our production, Alfonso was afraid of Fiordiligi because she's a little too strong for him to manipulate. Dorabella, like, there's a scene where I kind of have like the, oh my God, and then she mimics it later in her aria. And I was like, oh, I wonder if he can influence her much easier, with much more ease. And so it's like, okay, so for her, he's like, girl, this is a mess. And Dorabella's like, yes.
It is a mess.
And then with Fiordiligi, he's like, and she's like, and it's like, oh, okay.
Like a rock.
Yes, exactly. Like that's where we were really listening to each other's words, and so it's like, oh, well, that's how that relationship is developed. Because we know that he's got influence over the boys, and he's able to kind of talk them into this wager. But I've never really seen it where we kind of explore the connection between Dorabella and Fiordiligi with Don Alfonso, and obviously with Despina, like there's like. In our production, it's much more they're equals. Like he has the plot, but she's the executor of the plot. And Amanda's brilliant and fun, and we keep like finding moments.
Let me ask you this. What is your proudest non-opera achievement?
My proudest non-opera achievement.
And I'm going to tell you why I want to know this.
Yes.
I want to know this because opera singers are often just seen as the product, as the voice that they have. But it is your life that makes you valuable as an opera singer.
Right.
It's your life that influences your art and makes you the storyteller that you are. So I just like to know, like, what's a thing that you're so proud of that you've accomplished?
Starting in 2018, I started learning to screenwrite. So I've actually written 2 screenplays and a pilot. I'm proud of that because it's something that's not opera, but it still feeds my creative soul.
Yes.
So, and I think it makes me a better actor because as I'm writing dialogue and figuring out what would this character say, why is this character saying it, and thinking about subtext, I can then apply that into things that I sung before and had no real idea about. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's growth.
Yes.
Yeah, when you develop a skill that you have, a passion that you have, an interest that you have, it influences everything else in your life.
Right. Yeah.
What a great expansion. I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
We have a section coming up called the hype list or the gripe list.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I already know what I'm going to hype because it's going to be you, my guy.
Oh, okay.
But one